Welcome to Business Minds. I'm Cindy Bird, your host. I'm a business owner, an educator, and a thinking partner with a passion for helping businesses and people thrive. We are ending out the month of August, back to school month, with our theme of learning and development, and I'm so very pleased to welcome my special guest today, Liz Pollack. She's not just a special guest, she's a special colleague of mine as well. We've known each other now for, I guess, about 12 or 14 years, somewhere around there.
Yes, I think that's probably right.
Very involved with learning and development herself. So, Liz, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate that.
Very good. Well, I want to know more about your business, Leg Up Services. A little bit more about your background. What led you to establish Leg Up Services?
Well, I started off in the field of psychology. I had my master's in counseling psychology, and I liked working with people and understanding human dynamics. And then I decided to apply that to the workplace.
I love that term, human dynamics.
Yes. And you have a lot in the workplace, right?
Absolutely.
So at that point, then I started doing some consulting, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get into some companies as a consultant to help them with their HR issues and with their people issues and some of the structural issues as well in the organization. And I was also with the opportunity to start coaching, which I really, really love.
Wonderful.
And so I went ahead and I got certified also as a coach, a life coach and an executive coach. And it was during my certification program that we had to do a marketing and we had to come up with a name for our company. And prior to that, I was just Liz Pollack Consulting, which is pretty straightforward and pretty boring. And so I was just trying to figure out, I was the only one at the end of the class that didn't have a name for my company other than Liz Pollack Consulting. And then I went and I did some coaching at a child, like a preschool kind of thing for some of the instructors there. And I left there and I went, oh, that felt so good to give them a leg up. And then all of a sudden it hit me. And I thought, that is my name. Because I don't want to take over. I don't want to control people's career. I just want to give them that boost, that leg up. And that's true for individuals, teams, organizations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very clear. When I look at that name, that it's that boost. That oftentimes people are just stuck in some ways, whether it's in a team situation, as you say, whether it's more the bigger organization or whether it's an individual that you're working with. So how does your psychology background play into all of that? I want to know a little bit more about how you're able to apply that in your approach to learning and development. And anything else you want to say about your approach to learning and development?
Okay. Well, one of the things that seems to have been very successful in companies is the model of know, grow, lead, reward. Those four different areas. And all of those is about human dynamics. It's about psychology. So you have to know your employee, not necessarily about their personal lives and that kind of thing, but what do they do best? What are their strengths? What gives them, that boost or that energy? What zaps their energy? So to really kind of get a feel for this individual and what motivates them and what they want to accomplish. And so you kind of do that profile, that very good, base. And then from that, it's where do they want to go in their career and where do you as a company want them to go? So it's kind of that joining of those two things in the growing. So that would be the training and development piece. And, what are they really good at, sort of the assessment, and where do they need to grow? And then the leading is also a big part of that because you have to have strong leaders in an organization.
Absolutely.
And if you can have a very motivated employee over here and a horrible boss over here, and this person takes that dive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I love when you say you're looking at people, you're looking at teams and organizations, and this model, know, grow, lead, makes so much sense. Because you can't possibly address absolutely every dynamic that's out there, but this sounds like it gets pretty close.
It does.
And so what's the fourth
The
piece
fourth
of
is
that?
reward.
Reward, okay.
Yes. And it isn't about necessarily giving them more money, because a lot of companies don't have that to be able to give them raises. But, just a letter of acknowledgement, a thank you letter.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, people look for that, and especially from the people higher up in the organization. And it's simple, it's just thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your contribution. And that makes a world of difference.
It does. It's those little things that can make a big difference. A few weeks ago, I revisited my article that I wrote, What Managers Can Learn from Undercover Boss.
Yes, I love that.
And I talk in there about that reward piece. And I'm like you. It doesn't have to be a big pot of money. Granted, at the end of those shows, those bosses are giving away thousands of dollars. They're paying for college educations and things like that. But you don't have to have that.
Right.
What you do have to do is take the time to do it. So tell me a little bit more about your executive coaching. What do you find are some of the biggest needs out there, or maybe the learning gaps that you like to help people with?
Well, in the age of talent management, which you're hearing so much more about, it's about companies saying, I need the right person for this job, and this person that has these talents.
Okay.
And they're very specific, and it may be only a short-term project. So, I mean, we're seeing some of those trends, where companies are not necessarily bringing them on as employees with all the benefits right away. What they're doing is they're paying these people extremely well for their talent and what they bring to this project. And when that project is done, unless there's another project that will meet with those skills, they maybe go off to another company. So what we're seeing in executive coaching is, what skills do people want to master so that they are in high demand? So it's, again, helping them to go, okay, where are your strengths, and what kinds of things are the things that will keep you from being able to advance?
Those blind spots.
Yes.
And that, I would imagine your psychology background helps a great deal there, right?
Yes.
Helping people to gain that self-awareness, that insight, and seeing things about themselves that maybe they don't necessarily see.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Oh, definitely.
Do you have an example that wouldn't break any confidentiality that you'd like to share with us?
There was a man that worked in a company. It was a manufacturing company, and it wasn't that he was lazy. He just lacked motivation.
Okay.
And I saw something in him that said, there's great potential there, but he doesn't see it. And so I started just working with him. And I started to say, okay, here are your strengths that I'm seeing. What do other people see? And I gathered some information from other sources within the company. And I gave him that feedback, and also some feedback of where he could improve. And we worked up a coaching plan.
Okay.
And he worked it. I was just thrilled. And he would text me, he would call me and say, I got this, I got this.
Isn't that great when that happens?
It was just so rewarding. I think I enjoyed his success more than he did. But
well, that comes through. I mean, I can tell in listening to you right now, you're passionate about what you do. You are passionate about helping people, giving them that leg up, as you say.
Yes.
And when they are successful, we're successful too. We know that we're helping someone achieve something very important.
Yes.
And especially feeling that satisfaction with their work, going from being demotivated to feeling good about yourself and feeling much better about the work that you do, feeling more energized about it. So when you think of a coaching client, is there an average length of time that you usually see that it takes for someone to get from that point A to point B, or is it really, really very individual?
I think it is very individual. Now, I think that I'm pretty consistent with other coaches in that we have packages.
Okay.
And we kind of put that forth to the person and say, you can just go session by session, no package.
Okay.
Or you can go, 3 sessions, and this is how much that would cost. And if you did that, you get this kind of discount.
Okay.
Because it's a kind of a sure thing,
Sure.
for me as being that this is how I make my living. So there's these different packages. All my packages include unlimited text and email
Okay.
during the process.
Okay.
So
right. That's important.
That is,
well,
because
you have to
they
be able
need that
to have
support.
that contact and that support, as you
Right.
say. I mean, you're called a coach
Yes.
for a reason, right?
Right, exactly.
Because the coach is there to help map out the plan, to assess progress, right?
Correct.
Along the way,
Correct.
and then to be a cheerleader
Exactly.
along the way too, right? When
Yeah.
they do achieve something. So, have you seen anyone have a real aha moment?
Oh, yes. I've seen those so many times, and I just love it. It fills my heart, and I go, yep, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
This is the path that God has put me on, and this is the reason that I've done everything else in the past to build up to this moment. And I think that is so great when you finally find that niche, that reason.
Well, and as you say on your website, you say, your own learning and development
Yes.
has led you to what you do,
Right,
Your
right.
own combination of backgrounds. And then where you felt that you needed something additional, you went out and you advanced your own learning and development, right?
Correct,
With the additional
correct.
certifications.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so important to have those. I mean, it validates what you're doing. It gives you that credibility, and it says to the organizations you're reaching out to that you have the credentials.
Yes.
Which is great, but hands down, they're hiring Liz Pollack, right? Because of the personality, the style, the methods that you bring in and that you use. So you do some large group workshops
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And do you stay mainly in Central Illinois, or have you traveled outside of the area? And I know you do something through Bradley too, don't you, with their executive coaching program?
Right.
You want to talk a little bit more about that? too?
Sure. Bradley they do a leadership program in Chicago. They've done this for over 30 years.
Okay.
And I was fortunate about 3.5 years ago to be recommended to them as a coach.
Great.
And so I don't go to the training, though I know what their training entails.
Okay.
So they have 2 days of training, sometimes 3, and then the Friday, right after the training, is the coach day. And so
Okay.
everybody in the class gets assigned a coach.
Oh, how
And
neat.
then we meet with them for 100 minutes each.
Okay.
And we talk about what they learned in class, how they're going to apply it. They were supposed to kind of write out a plan. We go over the plan with them. We go through some of the assessments that maybe they went through in class,
Okay.
but didn't get all their questions answered, so we go through that.
Okay.
And so I love that. It's just a one day up in the Chicago area. I go up with other coaches for
Who are
that
from
day.
this area?
Right.
Okay,
We all
great.
just go in a van and we go up there, and we just spend most of the morning doing that kind of coaching. And it's great because people from that class are pumped up and they've learned this and they're ready to go back to their companies and apply it. And their companies are all over. It's international.
Oh,
So-
and so they all come to Chicago for
Yes,
this experience.
yes.
That's very, very cool.
Yes.
Well, I love one thing you said in there, and in our profession, in the learning and development, training and development profession, coaching, we talk a lot about will it stick? Will the learning stick is a
yes.
common term. And that simply means, are they actually going to use what they've learned once they're back in their jobs, and once
Right.
they're back in the workplace? Are they really going to continue to do these things? So you mentioned applying the learning. What are some techniques that you use to move people closer to that actually happening?
Well, one of the things is we role play
Okay.
for the application piece, because that works. We also do some scenario building. So we
Okay.
talk about, okay, so this is the skill you learned. let's talk about what's going to actually happen. And we go through the sort of like a potential or a pretend dialogue and how
Okay.
they're going to handle that. So
Yes.
I try to do a lot of behavioral setups with them from in the company. And then to support that is the email, the text, and then the follow-up. Anyway, they get a follow-up call.
Okay.
Coaching to sort of say, okay, how's it going? And they can continue with the coaching if they want. So it's not like, okay,
Oh, it's
one
not
day
that
and you're
one day.
done.
Okay.
Right.
They can.
So they do have that follow-up kind of
I
thing.
love it.
And I have had a lot of people go, ooh, I hit a snag. Or we thought this was going to be how they responded,
Okay.
but this is really what happened, and I'm not exactly sure what to do. So kind of talk them through that. But again, I'm of the belief that I'm the question person. I ask them the questions, they have the answers. So I'm not going to advise, I'm not going to say, well, do this as a coach. I'm going to say, let's look at your
Exactly.
options for that situation, and then have them brainstorm those and apply the right one. Because again, it's the leg up, right? It's not, I'm going to take over.
Right. And I'm a firm believer in what I do, and our work is very similar and parallel. And I'm sure you agree with this too. The best thing I can do is to have my client say, I don't need you anymore.
Right.
Right? Because I have given them what they have within them.
Exactly, the
that
tools.
tools, the
Yeah.
potential that they have within them is there. We often need that extra brain, we need that extra guidance, we need that extra thinking partner. That's why I call myself a thinking partner.
Yes.
To help someone see what they don't see, or to work through a rough spot, to ask those good questions.
Yes.
That old Socratic questioning method, right?
Right.
Where you're not, because you want them to have their own realizations about what's happening. So I love it.
Exactly.
I love all that you're doing here, and those
Oh, I do
stories you've
too.
shared are really, really awesome. Well, Liz, I know you're involved in a lot more than just Leg Up Services. You have a lot of nonprofit and community service work you do. Tell us a little bit about those
do.
things.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I'm very involved in is it's called NABO, and I know you know that well
Sure.
as my NABO sister. And NABO is a national organization for women business owners. So there are so many chapters all over the United States, and of course Illinois has 2 chapters, one in Chicago and one right here in Peoria.
And you're just coming off of having served as president,
I
right? So you'll still
did.
be on the board as past president.
Yes,
So
I'm still past president.
you did a great job this year, I'm going to say.
Thank you. I
Thank you for
appreciate
your
that.
service to us. I wasn't there at the meeting when the leadership changed over, and
Oh,
and
yes.
you were thanked. So I'll add my thank you
Oh,
now
well,
for
thank
your
you so
service for this
much.
last year.
Yes.
And what else? I know Pets for Seniors is
Yes.
another one.
Yes, so it's a PFS shelter. That's
okay,
what maybe
okay.
most people will remember.
Okay.
And it actually stands for what we were incorporated under, which is
Okay.
Pets for Seniors. And it's a great organization, and it's just got a huge heart. And this is one of the reasons I got involved, is because it serves the elderly by giving them older animals. So the elderly who may be lonely,
Sure.
here's a great fit for you.
Well, and now you've got a resale shop
Yes.
that's new, just about a year old now, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a year old in September.
In September.
Yes.
So Forever Home.
Forever Home Resale,
Resale shop out on Sterling Avenue here in Peoria.
At the
So
Sterling Plaza, right across from
Okay.
Holy Family.
great, great.
And we're excited about that. All the money from that goes to Pets
love
for
it.
Seniors.
I love it. Well, we're pet lovers. Can you tell?
Yes.
That's a big part of you have pets, I have pets, and we know how important they are in our lives and in our families. So
Yes.
it's great that you're involved with all of that. So you're
thank
you're
you.
on the board, right? Aren't you president of the
I am
PFS
president of the board.
board? And,
Yes.
so
And-
this lady's very busy. Let me just say that. So, but I want to, before we're out of time, Liz, I want to thank you again for being my guest, and I want you to tell our viewers how can they reach you if they're interested in learning more about Leg Up Services.
Okay, sure. Leg Up Services, I have a website, and it's simple. It's legupservices.com. And it shows all of the different services that I provide. And that's just sort of like, here's kind of a sample of what it
Overview.
is. And then we
Okay.
talk and customize. And if people want to call me, my number is on the website. So
Okay.
they can feel free to call. And I also have a Facebook page.
Okay.
So they can check
Fantastic.
the Leg Up Facebook page. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Liz, thanks again for being here today. Thank you,
Thank
viewers, for
you.
tuning in, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much.
PeoriaLife.com